Okay, so I've got my class all set up. We're on the lab now. I've lowered the lab down. I've got everyone their correct headsets. And now I want to talk to them and have them talk to each other. The way that I talk to the whole class is by hitting this all call button. While this all call button is on, it's like a PA system. It's one way I talk and they listen. Students will hear you and not each other. And they will also not be able to change that status. So if you want them to talk to each other, you need to remember to turn the all call off when you're done talking. Now, because I have 36 students in my class, there's a lot of ways I can pair them up. I have the option of coming up here and doing some automatic pairings. So I can click on this and have all the students talk to the student next to them. So let's try that. While this is on, you can see the numbers indicate the pairings. So you got number 6 talking to number 6. Laura and Leslie are talking to each other. Paco and Prince are talking to each other. Tim and Sarah are talking to each other. You can hit clear groups to go back to talking to no one, and all call to go back to you talking to everyone. Another way you can do this is they'll talk to the person directly in front of them by hitting this button. So if you do 4 table groups where you say these two are sitting next to each other facing these two, then this would be the person in front of you using this setup. So Laura's talking to Liz now instead of to Leslie. Oftentimes it's good to do both, one after the other. So you have Laura and Leslie talk by hitting this, and then you say, Laura, tell Liz what Leslie said. So now they've got a second partner to share the information with. That sort of replicates your table talk that you would do normally. If you're talking about a distant situation, you can do that even when you've got them a little more spread out and it's a little easier to do. So say you want that whole pod of 4 to talk to each other. Anytime you want to get rid of groups, you just hit clear groups, but you can also go from one to the other. So you want that whole pod to talk, then you click on this one. And now that's the 4 of them that are sitting together are talking to each other. If you just want them to talk to someone and you don't care who it is, you hit random. And then you can see, for example, Arnold is talking to Hal. They're not sitting near each other, but they can talk as if they were, one of the benefits of the lab. And then you keep hitting random and it will go through new partner assignments as long as you keep doing that for as long as possible before it hits a duplicate pairing. So Arnold's talking to Fred. Arnold's talking to, let's see. Arnold's talking to Prince, and it goes on like that. You can also manually pair people. So say you want Hector to talk to Patricia, and then you can do that for as many as you want. Heather will talk to Dawn, Fred will talk to Tim by hitting manual. Manual groups can be pairs or they can be more depending on this number. So if you change this number to be higher, then you can click Leslie, Lucky, Arnold, Aubrey, Cameron, and Cecilia are now all talking because the value I set here was 6, and there are 6 of them. Clear those groups. And if you randomly hit that, while this number is anything other than 2, they're no longer talking to a pair. They're talking in a group of whatever this number is. You can also do a mix of manual assignments and random. So say I say Hal and Ben must be together because they've been working on this assignment already, and we want to make sure they stay in the same group. Then I hit random once they're already assigned, and it finishes filling out the groups. Hal and Ben stay paired. So again, you've got your shoulder partner, the person next to you, if you're in pods, the person in front of you, the whole pod of 4, random pairings or random partners, depending on the value you set here, and then manual pairings or manual groups, depending on the value you set here. You can also create your own. So you can see here that you've got side-by-side, front, face-to-face, and then groups of 4. You can also create your own grouping. So say you really like it when Ben and Hal talk and when Betty and Herbert talk. Oh, I need to reset that. When Ben and Hal talk and when Betty and Herbert talk. And you could go through and do that for all of them where you say, well, I want this other option where it's not just tables, face-to-face, or pairings. And I want this other option that I use all the time. So one good example of that is you do one person from each table. So this would be we'd need 9 because we have 9 tables. And you would say, I want to manually make the person sitting in this corner of the table talk to all the other people sitting in that corner of the table. So this is really useful for when, that needs to be 9. This is really useful for when you want the partners, so the table to talk to one another, and then you want them to share out like an instant expert. But what you do is you go to save groups and you name what this grouping is going to be. And from then on, you can select that just like you can select these buttons. So your options, once again, side by side, face to face, table of 4, random pairings of whatever value you set here, manual pairings of whatever value you set here, and then saving groups so that you can create your own groupings.